Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Namaste and good morning. We have a touch of summer here. So the subject that we have set for this morning sounds kind of cool. Your light shining. This has been adapted from the Ashtavakra Gita. The Ashtavakra Gita, as many of us we are aware of it, it's probably the most radical text of non-dualism, Advaita Vedanta. It was the book which Sri Ramakrishna recommended to Swami Vivekananda. And Swami Vivekananda read it and he was not impressed. He said, "What nonsense! The cups and plates are God, the doors and windows are God, and everything is God. Were the masters, those who wrote these books, were they crazy?" But Sri Ramakrishna, of course, touched Vivekananda, Narendranath, and he had this experience of one consciousness, one undivided consciousness everywhere. It was a vivid experience, a living experience which persisted for several days. And it was the same Vivekananda who mocked the Ashtavakra teachings, who would come to this country and say that Christs and Buddhas were waves of the ocean that I am. I am means not Vivekananda. As you, I, all of us, this one ocean of undivided consciousness. So this is the Ashtavakra Gita. One of the most beautiful translations, which I like, I've recommended often, is The Heart of Awareness. The Heart of Awareness, Thomas Byrom, M, not like the poet, not Byron, but Byrom. Very beautiful, lucid, simple translation. And he writes in his introduction to this book that it was recommended to him by his teacher, Neem Karoli Baba. Neem Karoli Baba was a very well-known modern master of Vedanta. And his teacher, Neem Karoli Baba, told him, the translator, Thomas Byrom, that this is the purest of all scriptures. Vivekananda also says it's because of authors like the authors of this book, that spirituality is well and alive in this world today. So, highly praised. Byrom, in his introduction, he writes, by the way, my intuition is that Thomas Byrom was enlightened. He passed away very, very young, but if you read his experiences, he was enlightened, I think. He writes in the introduction that this book is extraordinary in the sense that in this book you will not find subtle arguments to prove the case of Advaita Vedanta. You're not the body, not the mind, you're pure consciousness. There are so many subtle arguments in many different books, not in this book. This is a simple statement of the truth and restatement, and again and again and again, that you are Brahman, you are pure consciousness. Again and again in a grand monotony. That's not Byron's words, but Byrom himself writes, after all the scriptures have fallen silent, after all the sages and prophets and masters, after all the philosophers, whatever they have to say, after they have written and they have fallen silent, Ashtavakra begins. And how he begins, his words are luminous. Byrom himself uses very poetic way of describing Ashtavakra. He says, it is the first melting of the snow on the high Himalayas. The snow melt water of the Ganga first flowing on the rocky, the narrow rock, the narrow flow of water when it begins from the glacier. It is he goes on to say, this book is like the stunning blue of the sky above Nanda Parvat and Trishul, the Annapurna, the high peaks of the Himalayas. So he just waxes eloquent about this book. By the way, if you're interested in reading, some of you have read, I would recommend, if you read Byram's translation, keep it as a translation if you depend on translations. And it's the one which conveys the spirit of the original very well. But if you also want to be technically correct, precisely what exactly does the Sanskrit original say, then I would recommend a book like Swami Nityaswarupanandaji's the Ashtavakra Gita, which was published by Advaita Ashram, which is the Sanskrit original and the English translation. So you get a sense of what the exact literal meaning of the Sanskrit original is, and also you get the spirit of the teaching from Byram's translation. And those who know even a little bit of Sanskrit, it's highly recommended you go directly to the Sanskrit original, because another aspect of this book is the language is very simple. Neither are there subtle argumentation here. There's no subtle logic employed here. Straight statement of the truth. Nor is the language very poetic, difficult Sanskrit. Sometimes some scriptures are. Very simple. Like a schoolboy Sanskrit. Straightforward. Poetic, but simple, straight, powerful. All right, enough advertisement. Today, the verse that I'm going to talk about is actually not a statement of Ashtavakra, the master. So in the first chapter of the book, the master teaches, and his student is none other than the Emperor Janaka. So the Emperor Janaka listens to the teachings, and by the end of the first chapter is illumined. He becomes enlightened. And then he describes his enlightenment in the second chapter. And so what I'm going to talk about, this adaptation, this topic, You Are Light Shining, is actually the words of Janaka, who is describing what he has realized. From his enlightened perspective, what does it look like? The best way, of course, is to have someone like Sri Ramakrishna who will touch us and we immediately see. We had this experience. But the closest we can get to that is to let Ashtavakra touch us. And that's what we will do today. We will listen closely to the realization of Janaka, which is basically the teaching of Ashtavakra, embodied in Janaka's realization. And it's as close as you can get to the touch of an enlightened master. And who knows, by the end of the session, some of us at least, hopefully. So what is Janaka's realization when he becomes enlightened? Very beautiful, powerful words. He says, my real nature is light shining. I am light shining. And I am nothing but light. When the world shines, it is I alone who am shining. This is the verse. Prakasho me nijam rupam natirikto asmyaham tataha yada prakashate vishvam tadaham bhasa evahi. It's thrilling just to hear this. My nature is light, and I'm light alone, nothing but light. And when the world shines, it is I alone, that is light alone, which is shining. So we will dwell on this. And the way to dwell on this is listen carefully to the explanation of this. I am light alone. What does it mean? It is not something, Advaita Vedanta is not something, it's not like a theory which you learn, listen to a nice and cool lecture and get some nice ideas. You can do that. That's good. That's great. And everybody, if you listen, even just listen carefully, you'll walk away with a load of nice ideas. But more profoundly, more interesting, Advaita Vedanta points to something which is directly available to us right now, right here, right now and at all times, right here and everywhere. To our nature, which is continuously available to us. Vivekananda calls it the open secret. So it's a direct pointing to what Byram calls the heart of awareness, to you, the real you. So if we attend closely to that pointing, there is no reason why we should not get a glimpse of this open secret. Why we should not see for ourselves. Because it's directly available. What he's talking about is all the time, openly, blazing forth, available to us. So the way to do that is listen carefully, collect the ideas, that's great. but also keep checking with our experience. When the words come, notice, this is true. Yeah, I see that. It's true. Right now it's true. If you keep doing that, at one point, it will become very obvious what is being said. So that's the way to listen. What did the teacher say? That's step one. Do I get it? That's step two. That's the level of philosophy, understanding, intellectual appreciation. And step three, is it true right now? Is it a fact? As much of a fact as I am sitting. As much of a fact as that. More than that, actually. Vivekananda, when he asked Sri Ramakrishna, have you seen God? He said, I have. Just as I see you, in fact, more clearly. More clearly, does he need glasses to see Vivekananda? No. We'll see what he means. Prakasho me nijam rupam. I am of the nature of light. My real nature is light. What light? Obviously, it's not the material light, which is what is meant here. In fact, in Advaita Vedanta, again and again, the light metaphor is used for consciousness, for our real nature. The very famous mantra from the Upanishads, Kathopanishad, Mundaka-Upanishad, Na tatra suryo bhati, na chandra tarakam, nema vidyuto bhanti, kutoyam agni, tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam, tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. The sun cannot illumine that ultimate reality, nor the moon, nor the stars, nor lightning flashing in the sky. No, it cannot illumine you, the real you. What to speak of this mere mortal fire? That shining, tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam, that light shining, everything else shines. By its light, everything here is revealed. You shining, everything else in your life, good and the bad, the problems and the prospects, all shine. By your light is everything revealed to you in life. So the light metaphor is used there. In the Kena Upanishad, another Upanishad, it says, Keneshitam patati preshitam mana, kena prana prathama preti yukta, keneshitam vacham imam vadanti, chakshu srotram kaudeva yunakti. Which deva literally, from Sanskrit it comes from the root div, to illumine, to shine. Which radiant being illumines this experience of thinking? Illumined by what do I think? Do I see? Do I hear? Do I speak? And indeed, do I breathe in and out? So the light, what is the one light behind all my activities, all my experience of life itself? There's one light there. And by the way, to connect it to our day and age, this is exactly the question today that is being asked in consciousness studies. How is it, they put it in a different way, from a materialist perspective, how is it possible for a chunk of matter in this skull, just an object, living object, complex living object, how is it possible to have the first person experience of the vivid experience of light and color and warmth and sound and thought and pain and pleasure? It's an object, it's a piece of matter, it's a piece of flesh. How does it generate that? There's nothing in the universe which can do that. Everything is just what it is. A table, it's a piece of wood. This is a complex device, a clock. But that's all that it is. And you can describe it as an object in great detail, down to molecular atomic levels. There is no other aspect of it, internal aspect of it. How is it possible that the brain has these two sides? One is the material side of it, which you can describe, but also some kind of internal aspect, consciousness. So anyway, the so-called hard problem of consciousness. In Vedanta, you'll again and again get the light metaphor. So Ashtavakra teaches Janaka, and Janaka says, I am light. What is this light? Attend carefully. Notice that whenever we see something, you need consciousness for the experience of seeing. It is true. You switch on the light and this room which was in darkness is revealed. That's true. But it wouldn't be revealed if your eyes were not seeing. If you just close your eyes right now, your experience of seeing is cut off. Just blankness, darkness. And not only the eyes, the mind has to attend to it. Then only you have the experience of seeing. If you're not attending to it, The experience of seeing fades into the background of your awareness. But most important, you have to be aware, you have to be conscious. Then only you get this first-person experience of seeing. By the way, I'm using awareness and consciousness interchangeably. By light, what we mean here is awareness or consciousness, but pure consciousness or pure awareness. And what is that pure consciousness awareness? That's what we are going to investigate and take a look at it now. Why I'm using it interchangeably? Because if you make too fine a distinction, it leads to semantic problems. Those who are enlightened beings, at least those who have a grasp of Advaita Vedanta, for them there's no confusion. But for the rest of us, we can get confused. I had so many people coming and telling me, I read Nisargadatta's I Am That. And there he says, at the end of my, at death, consciousness disappears. Body goes, mind shuts down, consciousness also disappears. You are talking about Atman, Brahman, pure consciousness, immortal. How can it disappear? And he says it disappears. But then you will read a little further, he says, only awareness remains. So it's a semantic distinction. He was speaking in Marathi, and then it was translated into English. So there is a distinction which we will take a look at later, but I'm using it interchangeably. By consciousness, awareness, I mean this light, this our real nature. That's all I mean. When we see something, it requires consciousness to have that experience of seeing. What we see is different from one thing from the other. You look at this clock, this is a particular kind of experience. You look at those flowers, beautiful flowers there, that's another kind of experience. The two experiences are different. Why are they different? Because the content of the experience, what you are experiencing, the object that we are experiencing differs. A clock is different from a flower. But there is something common to both experiences. Awareness. It is both our first-person experiences. There is something which is it's like to see a clock. There is something which is it's like to see a red flower or a white flower. An internal experience which we are all having. And that internal experience is powered by, made possible by consciousness, awareness, this light. This light is constant. Just like this physical light. It's a good example. That's why the light example is used so much in Advaita. When you see the clock, it is the same light reflecting from this clock. When I show you my hand, it's the same light reflecting from this hand. Hand and clock are different. When I show you the cloth, the same light illumines the cloth. Cloth is different from the clock, and clock and cloth are different from the hand. They are different objects, and you get different experiences as the objects keep changing. But all of them, same light. But instead of the physical light, go a little further back. That physical light helps the eyes. Eyes are illumined, or you can think about the eyes with your mind. And the mind, by mind I mean thoughts, perceptions. Those are revealed by you, the light, the one consciousness. That one consciousness is constant no matter whatever you are seeing. Or not seeing. What do I mean by that? Your eyes are open, you're looking at all of this, you're seeing now. You are consciousness, you are seeing through your mind and your eyes, you're seeing various objects. Now if I just close my eyes, now I'm not seeing anything. Or I'm just seeing darkness. So the objects have disappeared. There's nothing to see now that my eyes are closed. But the consciousness, the awareness, have I disappeared? No. Whether objects are present, whether various objects are present, or nothing is present, you, the light, are the same. It's not just things to be seen. Whatever you hear, whatever we hear, sound, whatever we smell, taste, varieties of flavors which we smell, which we taste, flavors which we taste, fragrances which we smell, touch, hot and cold and soft and hard and texture. All of these, the objects are so different from each other. But behind all of them, there is one thing which enables us to have these experiences, and that is consciousness, awareness. This consciousness, awareness is constant. This is distinct. This is distinct from the objects which we see, hear, smell, taste, touch. So one consciousness. check does this sound true? It's a nice idea. What is the idea? That all our experiences, whatever we experience, we have enormous number of experiences which all go to constitute our life, what we call our life. But all of them, the interesting thing to note is, in spite of the enormous variety of experiences, behind all of them is one homogeneous light. Does this feel right? Does this feel correct? Just, think about it at the level of logic. Is it logical? Think about it at the level of psychology. Is it psychologically correct? Does it feel right to you that this is, yes, it's real? All perceptions, but not just perceptions. Whether objects of perception are there or not there, consciousness is there. But not just perceptions, our internal thoughts. See, perceptions, you are seeing the flower, I am seeing the flower. It's a public experience. But each of us, we have an internal life, which is a private experience. Thoughts, memories, desires, questions, all of this, our internal life which is going on. Constantly the mind is thinking or not thinking. So this constant flow of ideas and memories and desires and this first person experience, that also constantly changes. That's also all of them are illumined by consciousness, the same light. Emotions, various emotions. I feel good. Consciousness illumines that I feel good. I don't feel so good. Consciousness illumines that I don't feel so good. Same light. Whether it is perceptions by our senses, whether it's thoughts and ideas and memories, or whether it's emotional states. I'm very excited, or very dull, or I'm deeply loving, or I'm bored and not caring. All of them are illumined by the same light. Check. Does this feel true? And not just in the waking state. Very soon, and maybe right here, it's warm and there's a boring lecture going on, it'll drift off to sleep. You drift off to sleep. As the waking world is erased, this world disappears, the body disappears from your awareness, from your experience. The world disappears, the body disappears. It's replaced by a world of dreams. Vague thoughts and experiences, mental, entirely dreamt up by the dreaming mind. Various kinds of dreams and various experiences in dreams, but the light continues. It is by the same light that those dreams are revealed. It continues in dream, and most wonderful of all, it continues in deep sleep. When everything is shut down. He said, Swami, are you stipulating that we have to accept it, or is it true? It's something that one can check for oneself. If by that same light, the consciousness, I'm able to see the flower, and I close my eyes, now I cannot see the flower, but I acknowledge, consciousness continues, the light is there. When Advaitic master pointed out an interesting fact, the distinction between physical light and consciousness. Physical light and darkness cannot coexist. If you light this, darkness is gone. So physical light, the one thing it cannot reveal to you is darkness. Because if you... But consciousness, the light of consciousness, is that which reveals light and darkness. To illustrate this, they have these funny stories. In a village, the master of the house told the servant, so here is the lamp. We light the lamp and put it wherever there's darkness. And so the servant went around the property and came back. Sir, master, I couldn't find darkness anywhere. Wherever I went, there was no darkness. Obviously, physical light cannot coexist with darkness. But consciousness, it reveals the presence of the flowers. It reveals the absence of the flowers. Consciousness is one and unflickering. If that's so, when you open your eyes, are you there? Are you the light there? Yes. When you close your eyes, are you there? Yes. In that case, if you extend that further, if we close our eyes and ears and nose and, sensory deprivation tank, they call it. No sensory inputs coming in. Are you still there? Yes. A slightly bored eye, but I'm still there. But I have my own world of thoughts and feelings and memories. Suppose we silence all of that. By the same logic, you will still be there, illumining the absence, which will be later called deep sleep. It's worth thinking. This deep sleep experience, it's an experience. It's not an absence of experience. It's an experience of absence. It's a good time to define what is an experience. In Sanskrit, anubhava. Consciousness plus object is experience. You, the light, plus something to illumine, that's experience. You are there, aware, and then there is something to illumine. A flower, okay, an experience of a flower. A sound, somebody's talking, experience of sound. Thought comes up, the experience of thinking. A sharp pain comes, an experience of a pain. One light plus some object is experience. Now, if you remove all the objects, the light continues. You have no right to say that the light is gone. That is a special kind of experience, an experience without an object. Or darkness can be the object. You can talk about it both ways. Why this is important is, in a recent conversation I saw between Sam Harris and Rupert Spira, Sam Harris said, without consciousness you cannot know anything. You go into deep sleep or anesthesia, general anesthesia, and then there's nothing. There's no consciousness at all. Rupert Spira said, I was actually under general anesthesia recently, and I did not feel that consciousness went away. It's just that the object, he didn't go that far, but what he meant was the object of consciousness was blocked for some time because something was done to the brain somewhere. So in deep sleep, in waking, that light continues. In dreams, that same light continues. In deep sleep, the absence of the waking objects and the dream objects, the same light continues. I am that light. Janaka says, Prakasho me nijam rupam. Prakasha means light. Not this light. Consciousness is my nature. The objects of consciousness come and go. When you are awake, the waking world comes back to you. The same body and the same bed and the same room and the same people and the same problems. It all comes back to you. When you fall asleep, all these objects go away. The objects of consciousness keep coming and going. Consciousness does not arrive or depart with the objects. The light is shining here, this physical light. And we have come here. When we have come here, the light illumines us. We did not bring our own light with us, in the physical light, unless you are mildly radioactive. And when we leave, the light is not sticky. It will not go away with us. It continues to illumine our presence and our absence. Similarly, when the objects of this world arise before us, I, the light, I have not come with those objects. When the objects of the world subside in deep sleep, meditation, coma, anesthesia, whatever it is, I do not go away. I do not arise and disappear. Ashtavakra sings in another place, Name vriddhi navakshati. The waves of this universe rise and fall. The ocean neither increases nor decreases. Similarly, happenings, events, people, things, this body, it arises and changes and slowly again subsides back. I am neither increased nor decreased, enhanced or harmed by these happenings. I am that light. Not only that, the objects of experience keep changing. People change, they come and go and people change. The weather changes from cold to warmth and again back to cold again. The body changes from childhood to youth to middle age, from health to illness to health again. So continuous change, but that consciousness, that one light, it does not change. Appreciate this. I'm just telling you simple things which Ashtavakra told Janaka. Notice, it doesn't change. We think, I have changed so much. I mean, I barely remember what it was like to be a baby. I barely remember what it's like to be a child. Maybe vaguely what it was like to be a teenager. And I sort of disown that, But the light which gave me the experience of being a teenager, child, or a baby, and the light right now, which is giving me all these experiences, is it the same or not? It is the same. Prakasho me nijam rupam. My real nature is light shining. A little further. That light is not affected by what it shines upon. This is light. It can shine upon the pure Ganges, the classical example. Light can shine upon, the sunlight shines upon the pure Ganges water. It can shine upon the water in the drain. So is the light polluted by the drain water? Is it improved, purified by the Ganges water? No. Similarly, this is very important. I, the light, I illumine the varied experiences of what I call my life. But the light is not affected by those experiences. It is not delighted by the delights, which it enables. Because of the light, you have the delight. It is not traumatized by trauma. Look, Vedanta does not say that there is no trauma or no delight. There is. But the light, that consciousness which enables us to experience, have the experience of a delight, of a disaster, this light is not damaged by the disaster or traumatized by the trauma, nor is it delighted by the delight. It is completely unaffected. Shankaracharya says, all the water in a mirage is not enough to wet one grain of sand in the desert. In the desert you have mirage water. You see that. But none of it, even one grain of sand of that desert is not made wet by that mirage water, because it's not of the same grade of reality as that desert sand. Similarly, that which is an appearance in consciousness cannot affect consciousness. Body will be affected. And if I think I am this body, I will be affected. I am old, I have COVID, I am sick, I am suffering, I am lonely, nobody cares about me. I am old, sick. What is that? The body. I am lonely, nobody cares about me. What is that? The mind. The consciousness, the light which you are, which reveals these bodily states, mental states, is absolutely perfect. Physical deformities. I was just thinking, the very name Ashtavakra means the master with eight bends in the body. He had a crooked body, a twisted body. He was the greatest master of non-duality. You, the perfection of this non-dual consciousness, this light, is not affected by the problems in the body or imperfections of the body, imperfections of the mind, imperfections of what we call our life. You may have a gloriously well-packed life. Your engagement calendar doesn't have a second. And more's the pity. You feel sorry for such a person. Or one may have a devastated life. Addicted, homeless on the streets of New York. The light is exactly the same in each of them. Why that? I will be sacrilegious. The light in you and in me, that our real nature is exactly the same as them. There. It is not affected by the contents of our life. The good and the bad, the highs and the lows. It enables, not only it's not affected, but at the same time, the opposite is not true. The contents of our life, the experiences of our life are made possible because of you, the light. Without you. Think about it. You'll be looking at the flower. It's possible because you are light, your consciousness, you're having an experience of the flower. If you close your eyes, you're no longer experiencing the flower, but the consciousness continues to illumine the blankness, the darkness behind your eyes. But the opposite, just imagine, suppose that light, that consciousness itself were not there. What would happen to your life? Nothing. Blankness, total, utter darkness, finished. Not even an experience of darkness. Nothing. It's not possible, thankfully, according to Advaita Vedanta. But everything is enabled because of you, the light. And that light is not affected by that everything. I'm just describing a phenomenology of light, of what Ashtavakra means by that. Janaka actually is describing by that short phrase, I am of the nature of light, light shining. Where is this light? Here's the flower, here are my eyes, here's the mind which I can experience, but where is this light? So our next question will be, this sounds like a cool thing, this light, this consciousness, where can we find it? You cannot. And thank God you cannot. Because if you found it, it would be an object. Whatever we experience is an object of experience. It could be a flower. It could be the eyes themselves. It's an object of experience. I can think about my eyes. I can blink my eyes. Or it could be subtle things like feelings, thoughts, ideas. That's also mind. They're objects of experience. But that which experiences is not an object of experience. And therefore, the Vedantic process is not to look for the light, not to look for, Ashtavakra, Janaka tells me I am light shining. But where do I find this light shining? Don't look for it. Notice that everything that you experience, including the things that we take ourselves to be, this body, this mind, this personality, they are all objects of experience to you, the light shining. That's why it's a secret. Because you see, that's why it makes things a little difficult. Because you see that everything that we have experienced in life and everything that we are going to experience in life ever is going to be an object. The presence of an object or an absence of an object. It would be forms like these flowers. It could be fragrance of the flower. It could be touch of the petal. All of these, or the taste of of a rose syrup. They are all objects of experience. And because all that we are used to is the object of experience, whenever we are introduced, light shining, that sounds very nice, I immediately objectify it. And I try to see, no matter, I might say all the right things. I know it's not an object, it's a pure subject, I am the witness consciousness, I may say all the right things. But psychologically, I'm trying to grasp it. I'm trying to see it, experience it, I'm trying to understand it. Not possible. And thank God it's not possible. It's your real nature. It's not an object. The 10th man story, I'm not going to repeat it. I've repeated it many times. That's the point of the 10th man story. That the 10th man was not one of those 9 people outside. He was this person who was counting those 9 people. We always forget to count ourselves. That means we always forget to count pure consciousness. We only count what is revealed by consciousness, what is revealed by the light. In Haridwar, there was a conference, not like conferences we have here, the traditional talks on Vedanta, all day long. So people keep floating in and out. They come and listen to a Swami or some Pandit give a talk on Vedanta, and then they walk away, and so on, sometimes in the middle of the talk. Don't do that. I'll be very annoyed if you do that. But there you can't help it. People come and go. There are kids playing, and you have to take it into account. A cow may wander in. You have to take all of that is... you have to be a pretty tough speaker there and not concerned about what's going on in the audience. Anyway, all day long Vedanta talks, you can see it's very trying. And so at the end, the last talk was of the chairperson, the president of the meeting, who was a very well-known Swami there. His name was Ganeshanandaji. There's an ashram there called Sadhana Sadan. He was the founder of that ashram. So I haven't seen him, I've just heard the story from his disciples. He was supposed to stand up and speak. Unfortunately, the president's lot is that by the time you are standing up to speak, everybody is thoroughly bored and they all want to go home. So he stands up and says that, I'm not going to give you a talk on Vedanta. I'm going to show you Brahman directly. So people who are getting up to go, they come back and sit down. So this is what we had come for. And then what he does is, look at this, what is this? And they say, cloth, a cloth. And he says, no. What you are seeing is light reflected off a cloth. It is the cloth plus the light. So in every experience, it is made possible by that one consciousness. We always miss it because it's not an object. It's not an object of it. You can't see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it. You can't think about it. You can't even talk about it. Even when I'm giving long lectures about it, you cannot directly refer to it. There's a reason why language cannot directly refer to that to pure consciousness. So it's not an object of experience. You, the light, are not an object of experience, but you make possible all experiences. Then how do we know it at all? Is it completely unknown? Vivekananda would say, you must not go away with the idea that it is unknown. It is more than known. we come to the next aspect, very powerful aspect of this light. And technically, there's a word in Vedanta. It's called, the word is swaprakasha, self-luminous. You do not have to reveal that pure consciousness by thinking, seeing, hearing, You don't have to objectify that pure consciousness. It is self-revealing. Like that light, it reveals all the objects in the room, and you don't need another light to reveal that light. It's a good example. The light reveals everything that was in darkness, but it is also continuously shining itself. This is called swaprakasha, self-luminous. There's a good example which Vedanta masters use to tell us about this. So what we drink, if you add sugar to it, it makes it sweet. So there's water, and it tastes like something, and then when you add sugar to it, it tastes sweet. What happened? Sugar was added, made it sweet. You drink milk, and then you drink it, it tasted like something. When you add sugar to it, it tastes sweet. A juice, you put sugar in it, it tastes sweet. Don't, because already a lot of sugar is there. Now, what is the formula to make something sweet? You add sugar to it. All right. What about sugar? We can blindly apply the formula, add some more sugar to it, it will become sweet. No. Sugar is the one thing which you don't need to add more sugar to it to make it sweet. Sugar is that which you add to others and to make them sweet. But that formula does not apply to sugar. Similarly, to know something, to experience something, what do you need? Consciousness. I mean, of course, to see the flower, you need eyes and light and attentive mind, all of that. But I'm just saying the bare minimum is consciousness plus object. To see something, hear something, smell something, to experience something, you need consciousness. Add consciousness, like sugar, to make it sweet. How do we know consciousness? Well, add consciousness to it? No. Just like to make sugar sweet, you don't need to add sugar to it, because sugar has intrinsic sweetness. Similarly, consciousness is intrinsically shining. That's why I am light shining. It is revealed all the time. But it's revealed in a particular way, which you have to appreciate. It's not revealed as something seen, heard, smelled. It's not revealed as something understood, something spoken about. But it is revealed in every experience, just as sugar is revealed in every experience of a sweet drink. Similarly, in every experience. Which experience? Every experience. Whether you are seeing something, hearing something, for the illumined person, consciousness is revealed there. The light is revealed there to that illumined person, because the person knows. Kena Upanishad says, Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hivindate. In every experience, when you realize you are that undivided light, then you are that one is free, immortal. You attain to immortality. Attain to immortality means you are immortal. So, swaprakasha. How do I know that this pure consciousness, I am light shining? It is revealed to us in every experience. But it seems hidden. How is it hidden? Traditionally, see here, traditionally in Advaita Vedanta, we'll say it's hidden by our ignorance. We don't know it, and that's why it seems to be hidden. It's good enough. But if you say that any number of times, if you repeat it, that ignorance itself begins to seem like something, which is blocking my vision. It isn't. Sometimes I think there's a reason why pure consciousness, the Atman, is described as being subtler than the subtlest. It is hidden by ignorance. There's a point. But sometimes I think we do a disservice. Because you repeat it again and again, subtler than the subtlest, subtler than the... all right, so I'm looking for something very subtle. I can't grasp it. It's too difficult. You know how subtle it is? It's like, looking at the ocean, the waves. You say, I see the waves, I see the foam, I see the surf. But this water you're talking about sounds very difficult, a subtle concept. It's like looking at all the golden jewelry in Tiffany's and saying, I see bracelets and rings and tiaras. But you're saying that there's a hidden, subtle reality called gold. That I don't see. You laugh at it. You laugh at this person. Because you'll say, you don't understand what gold is. You don't understand what water is. There is no gap. See, this experience which we are having, I'll tell you something very secret. Open secret, not unknown. This experience which we are having, and this pure consciousness, Atman, Brahman, which we talk about in Vedanta, what's the distance between the two? No distance. It's the exact distance between the wave and water. How much distance gap is there between the wave and water? If you use language like this, water is the innermost reality, the subtle essence of the wave, you'll feel like plunging into the wave looking for something called water inside somewhere. At the core of the wave, there might be a drop of this thing called water. No. On the surface, in the middle, at the bottom, it's all water. It's nothing but water. There's nothing called a wave. No thing called a wave. A wave is a name. A wave is a form. A wave is an activity. The reality is water. All the time, what we are experiencing is water. Here, all the time, whether you are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, enjoying, suffering, being spiritual, being worldly, being bored, excited, all that we are experiencing all the time is light shining. And this light shining, this radiance is you. This is the meaning of the Advaitic teaching, Tat Tvamasi, that thou art. All the time. How much effort does it take? No effort. How much time does it take? No time. How much time does it take for the wave to become water? No time. It's always water. How much work, how much processing, refining does it take for the wave to become water? No effort. It's always, naturally, it is water. You are that light, your light shining, prakasho me nijam rupam, all the time, effortlessly so. Just one more thing. We are just exploring, I am light shining. That's all we are exploring right now. I haven't even gone deeper into the verse. One more thing. And talk about one light shining. But even space, time, they are all within this light shining. This is a subtle concept but important to understand. We talk about Atman, Brahman, pure consciousness as being eternal. As if all these things in the world, they're born and they age and they die, they're created and they're destroyed. From moment to moment, things are changing. And there is something called pure consciousness which is eternal all the time there. We talk like that. I just did. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep, it's always there. But this eternal, Atman consciousness is eternal. It already presumes time. But even time is something experienced in consciousness. Even space. When we talk about pure consciousness as being all-pervading, you'll find that again and again in many of the texts. Sarvavyapi, all-pervading. But all-pervading is already taking space to be real. As if there is space. Look, here's the space of the room, and you switch on the light, and the light pervades the room. Is it like that? No. Actually, even space is an experience in consciousness. Space requires consciousness, mind, senses, and then the mind projects a sense of space, physical space. So all of that is, time and space are appearances in consciousness. I've said this earlier, this was being taught. Consciousness, you, the light, are all pervading. And the monk was teaching it, other monks were sitting there. Somebody at the back of the room said, hey, wait a minute. I'm not all pervading. Neither are you. You are standing there. I'm sitting here. I'm not there and you are not here. How can I be all pervading? I don't even pervade this room. No matter, I can't even pervade this chair I'm sitting on. How can I pervade the universe? In Hindi, मैं यहाँ हूँ, आप वहाँ हैं. I'm here, you are there. And the teacher answered, and tell you in Hindi and translate. लेकिन यहाँ और वहाँ दोनों ही क्या आप में नहीं है? There and here, isn't it true both are appearing to you in consciousness? See, in a dream, when you're walking around, you wake up later and see it's a dream, but when you were in the dream, there was a space. There were people, there were objects, there were animals, and there's a sky and the earth. And when you walk around there, you're moving through space and it feels like some time has passed. But when you wake up, you realize that space was entirely in the mind, the dreaming mind. That time was entirely projected by the dreaming mind. It doesn't tally with the physical time which has elapsed in your sleep. So, that's the dream experience. Exactly like that, in consciousness alone appears time and space. What good does this do? Very quickly, run through the benefits of this. Unless we... See, if you stay with it and begin to see, this is my nature, I am this light shining, and all of these, the unchanging light through waking, dreaming, deep sleep, no matter what objects come, what I see, hear, smell, taste, enjoy, suffer, I am that unchanging light. I do not come with the experiences, I do not go away with these experienced objects. The changes in the experienced objects, I do not change. The trouble, the ups and downs in the world, they do not affect me. If I can see them, as I hear the teachings, I can see it as a fact, then I will never ask, what is the benefit of this? Because I clearly see the benefit of this. But if I'm not following carefully, I've had this happen to me. I talked about Vedanta and pure consciousness, you're the witness, and then this person asked me, yeah, so? What good is it? See, it's not our fault. If you tell me to sit quietly and meditate and regulate my breathing, I can see the benefit of that. Meditation has a benefit. Ritual has a benefit. Even studying a philosophy text has some benefit intellectually. This doesn't seem to have a benefit unless we get what is being talked about is I, me. Notice, this light, can it die? The body dies. How do you know that this light dies with the body? Again, hard problem of consciousness. Can this light suffer pain? So yes, of course. It's because of consciousness that I experience pain. The experience of pain is an object. And remember, objects, consciousness does not come and go with the objects. Consciousness does not, you, the light, do not come and go with the pain revealed by the light. You, the light, you are not affected by the pain revealed by the light. Remember, the mirage water cannot wet even a grain of sand in the desert. You are the revealer of the pain in the body. Can this pure consciousness become upset, depressed? Upset, depressed, if you feel upset, if we feel depressed, they are objects, it's subtle objects, but they are objects in the mind. Consciousness is not upset. No more than consciousness is overweight. We laugh if you say, I, the pure consciousness, have put on a lot of weight, I need to shed some weight. It's ridiculous. You laugh at it. Exactly the same laughable, you can laugh at, I, the pure consciousness, am now depressed. No. You cannot be. You can reveal the depression in the mind. But you are not that mind. You are not that body. What is this pure consciousness, this light? What does this desire? What does it want? Apart from the world, apart from the body, apart from the senses, apart from the thinking mind, shut it down. The light, you yourself. What desire do you have? Nothing. Nothing. What hopes do you have? What are you waiting for? Enlightenment. At least, Swami, enlightenment? Mind. That's mind. Pure consciousness is not waiting for enlightenment. It's a trifling thing to pure consciousness. Enlightenment. Nothing. Shankaracharya sings, Na dharmo na chartho na kamo na moksha chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. I do not want pleasure, I do not want wealth, I do not even want conventional religion, morality. I do not want enlightenment and liberation. Why? Because I am light, Chidananda, I am the light which is Chit Ananda. Chit means light, consciousness. I am the light which is bliss. I am Shiva, I am Shiva. Not an affirmation. Be careful, it's not an affirmation. It's not positive thinking, not at all. It is that which reveals positive thinking and negative thinking. Swami, this is great, but I forget this. I have understood all of it. My problem is the mind is restless. This is something I want to point out here, not directly related to Advaita, but a secret about the mind. We think of the mind which is restless and the mind which is peaceful. But that restlessness, peacefulness, that is the mind. It's not that the mind is something apart from its restlessness. The activity which we call thought is the mind. You are not the activity called thought. You are the witness of that activity. You are never under the influence of the mind. When I say, all this is great, but I forgot it. How can I remember it? There are ways of remembering it, but the real direct answer is, I forgot it. Don't listen to it. That's the mind. When you forgot it and you were completely immersed in worldly ups and downs and suffering, were you the light or not? Yes, I was. And now that you remember, oh, I forgot that I was the light. Are you the light or not? Yes, I am. What is it that forgot and what is it that remembered? The mind. What is it to you? This is something dangerous, but I'll tell you anyway. This is how some of the masters in the Himalayas talk. So we are overly concerned with the mind. Once the shift begins to happen that I am that light, then you will become less and less concerned with the mind, let alone the body, even the mind. How many, I'm translating from what the Swami said, how many minds will you reform? You are the one light behind all minds. You can try to reform this mind and make it a meditative mind, a spiritual mind, a philosophical mind, a moral mind. But there are billions of minds. You are the one light shining. You know what these minds are? The Swami put such a vivid image. Early in the morning, oh monks, when the first ray of light, sunlight comes into your cottage, it's the high Himalayas, what happens is you have a little cottage and there are towering mountains around you. So the sun has risen already, but it takes some time for the first rays, when it goes above the peak of the mountain, the sun, then the first rays come into your hut. When that ray comes into your hut, that first sunbeam, look, how many thousands of dust particles are whirling around in that sunbeam. You are that sunbeam in which thousands and thousands of thoughts and feelings and emotions and thousands and millions of minds are like dust particles whirling around. What is it to you? Prakasho me nijam rupam. I am light shining. That is my real nature. Then Janaka goes further. Nati rikto asmit aham tataha. I am not anything other than light. Important point he makes, reaffirming that realization. He says, people can say, all this is fine, Swami. I mean, I understand I am consciousness and consciousness is like light and that's really great, but also I am mind and body and I'm a person in this world. I have a social security number and a passport and taxes to be paid, especially at this time. The tax man cometh. So I am all of that. I am this bundle. The consciousness itself may have no problem, but the mind has a problem. I have lots of problems. I have tax problems, I have relationship problems, I have financial problems, I have health problems, I have neighbor problems, parking problems, and so many problems. And both God problems and dog problems. Janaka says that is my realization is that I am light and light alone, not a bundle. Not consciousness plus mind, plus body, plus a person, being a person. That's there, but I am not it. It appears. The dream example is very good here. In our dream, when we go into a dream, I am walking around in my dream like a virtual reality, and I can see I have a body. I can see other people are embodied also. When I wake up, I realize that body which I saw, other people, plants and animals, sky and earth, they were all this mind. Would it be true to say, I went into a dream and I was this dreaming mind plus a body? No. If you see the dreaming mind, all bodies and earth and sky, everything in the dream is included in that dreaming mind. They're all appearances in the dreaming mind. You're not a dreaming mind plus a body. Similarly, you don't count that dream, the body in the dream. You don't count the other persons and things in the dream because they're all that one dreaming mind. Similarly, when you are consciousness, light, everything that appears in light, you are not the mind, not the body. They're all appearances in that light. A deeper meaning of this, when Janaka says, I am nothing but light, the deeper meaning here is this. Now actually we are going into Advaita. You see, what were we doing till now? We are doing Sankhya till now. This distinction between consciousness and object is the first step, an essential first step towards Advaita, but it is not Advaita. Now we are going into Advaita, non-duality. Because you say light and the flower, duality. Clearly the flower is something different from the light. Switch off the light, the flower is still there. Take the flower away, the light is still there. They're two separate entities, and the light comes and illumines it. Is it like that? I am light shining, and here is this physical universe, a body, a mind, and I shine upon them. Is it like that? Sankhya says yes. Prakriti Purusha, consciousness and material nature. It stops there. Advaita says no. And Janaka says, my realization is, I am not anything other than light. Because there is nothing other than light. You see, in the Ishavasya Upanishad, the first line of the Ishavasya Upanishad was, Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. So, that much. Tena tyaktena bhunjita ma gridha kasya svidhanam. From the Isha Upanishad, the first mantra says, see all of this as pure consciousness. The moving and the unmoving. Protect this knowledge by renunciation. And do not covet anybody's wealth. That seems to be a very simplistic instruction. Do not covet the wealth of others. That's the mantra. Shankaracharya commenting there, he says, when the deeper meaning of do not covet anybody's wealth, he says the deeper meaning is there is nothing to be coveted. There is no second reality apart from this one light, one consciousness, which can be coveted. Similarly, as in a dream, there is nothing else other than the dreaming mind. Here also, this one consciousness, one light which you are, it also appears as everything in the universe. There is nothing apart from it. The rope appears as the snake. Somebody saw it as a snake, somebody saw it as a flower garland. There is no flower garland, there is no snake, there is only the rope. There is no external, this world, physical body, mind, it's light alone, shining as all of this, and therefore non-duality. Apart from the gold, there are no ornaments. If you take the gold away from the ornaments, will the ornaments sort of vaguely float around in the air? No. If you take the water away from the waves and the foam and the surf, will they still remain? No. Ghostly? No. Similarly, you take the light away, you cannot. Nothing will remain. Without the light which we are, this light shining. And therefore he goes on to the next part of this verse, where it's full-blown non-duality. What a magnificent statement. Yada prakashate vishwam. So what is this universe? If I'm light shining, fine. But where did all this come from? When all of this comes, this universe comes, what you call your life comes up before you. Yada prakashate vishwam, tada aham bhasa evai. I alone, light alone is shining. When the universe shines before you, everything here, everybody here, every event here is you, the light shining. I alone appear as the so-called other. Just as in your dreams. A huge shift has taken place. In the first part of the verse, what did we do? We distinguished light from the objects. And that's true. The light is different from the objects. The seer is different from the seen. The witness is different from the witnessed. But now we must ask the question, a subtle question here. That which you witnessed, is it different from you, the witness? In the case of light and object, they're clearly different. So this example breaks down there. This example breaks down. This physical light example breaks down. But like the dream example will still hold there. Whatever we see as different from ourselves in the dream is nothing but ourselves, we the dreamer. Everybody in your dream is you the dreamer. Everybody that we experience, whatever we experience, people that we see, is you the light shining. I alone appear as this universe. When this universe shines, I alone am shining. What is your real nature? Light. What is the nature of the universe? That same light clothed in names and forms and activities. This clothing in names and forms and activities is what is called in Vedanta Maya. This whole thing taken together, in Tantra it would be called Shiva and Shakti. Shiva is light shining, Prakasha. But Shakti is that light shining as this universe. It is the inherent power of Shiva. The two are inseparable. This inseparable Shiva Shakti is what Sri Ramakrishna used to call my mother, the divine mother, Kali. As this. With eyes closed, light shining. With eyes open, light shining, but in a much more interesting way, in this way. The movie is nothing but the screen. But if just the screen by itself is a little boring. It becomes much more interesting if you play a comedy on it, a tragedy on it, a horror film on it, a science fiction film on it. And all of that which happens in the film does not affect the screen at all. But the screen makes it possible. Every character in the film, good, the hero and the villain, are nothing but the screen. Every event is nothing but the screen. The good and the bad is nothing but the screen. Now in a screen in a movie, you are watching it separately from the screen. But in this case, in the consciousness itself is the screen. Shankaracharya compares it to a vast mirror. And the universe appears in that mirror. What is that mirror? Consciousness is the mirror. Even in a mirror, you require an external universe to reflect it. But Shankaracharya says, within the mirror. Of course, if he had seen a plasma TV screen or something, he would have given that example. From within, the entire universe appears. Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam. The universe is like a town, a city seen in a mirror. Nijantargatam, within itself, not from outside. Because the moment you say city seen in a mirror, say, yeah, but there's a city outside in the mirror, and then you're seeing the city in the mirror. But he says, no city outside. It appears in the mirror. Now we understand in our big plasma screen and everything. You are that mirror of consciousness in which the universe is appearing. Because it's appearing, not one thing in that city is different from the mirror. Not one thing that appears here in your life is different from you, the light shining. When the universe appears, yada prakashate vishwam, tada aham bhasa evi. Imagine the sense of oneness and love that you feel for everybody. They, and this, just as this is nothing but me, I the consciousness, they are also nothing but me. Now see the difference that has happened. Before enlightenment, I say, yeah, this is me. I am this. What are they? What those things? They are all different from me. After enlightenment, once you go through that, I am light shining, and then look upon the universe. What are you here? I am this. Oh, you're a body. Why not? What about them? I am also all of that. I am all bodies and all minds. Everybody is my own. Just as I am so intimately this person, I am so intimately every person. And yet, I am impersonal. Persons come and go. Personalities arise and disappear. Relationships are set up. Ashtavakra himself sings. Mayananta maham bodhau Ashcharyam jiva vichaya udyanti gnanti khelanti pravishanti swabhavata. In me this ocean of light. How wonderful, strange and funny are these sentient beings which come up as waves. Udyanti, they come up. They play with each other. They fight with each other. And they again disappear back into me, the light. This is life. I still remember the Swami who was teaching us these words, very funny. This old teacher, a master of Advaita, he has passed since then. He was saying, all these sentient beings, they come up in me. How funny. They arise in me. They are born. They play with each other. He's saying, they play with each other. I love you, I love you. They gnanti. They fight with each other. I'm going to divorce you, I'm going to divorce you. Pravishanti. They disappear back into me again to die. Now, if you take them as individual beings, very difficult. It becomes a terrible struggle, life. But if you take it as, I am the light shining this person and that person and all of them. And if none of them are there, the whole universe also disappears. I'm perfectly all right. I'm still the light shining. Let this body go. Body will one day age, sicken and die. Vivekananda says, it is less than one hair falling from the head. Let it go. It's of no concern to you. As you are not bothered about one hair falling from the head, it should be not that light itself. From that perspective, one body falling from that is also is of no consequence. Let me repeat this and then we will wrap it up. Prakasho me nijam rupam natiriktoasmi aham tataha yada prakashate vishwam tadaham bhasa evahi. My real nature is light shining. I am not anything other than light. I am only light. When the world shines, it is I alone who am shining. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. I pray to the Divine Mother, who is Shakti herself, may this realization shine forth in our lives. Thank you and stay safe, everybody.